And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, Tom Vasel here, and today we're taking a look at Bring Out Your Dead, which takes a very grisly theme of burying loved ones and adds, I think, the Monty Python style. This phrase is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and I think it adds that to it. This is the first board game from Upper Deck that does not involve a license, so that's interesting. And it actually comes with little wooden coffins. How cute, I think, anyhow. Let's take a look. There's two sides of the board. One is for 4 to 5 players. That's what you see now. Then there's a 2 to 3 player side on the other board. The numbers are slightly different. You're trying to get the most points in this game, and at the end of the game, you're going to get points every place that you have a coffin that is buried. So if I have a coffin here, for example, in this spot on the board, I will get 6 points. There are spots where you have double coffins can fit, or single coffins. So if I have 2 coffins there, I'll get 12 points. If I have 1 coffin there, I'll get 6. While other places on the board, they only get points if you have a coffin in both of them, which could be a double or 2 singles. Here in this area, you can see that here you have to fill it from low to high, so the first person gets 3, then 4, then 5. There's also areas where whoever has the most in an area is going to get a bonus, like right here. Whoever has the most in this area is going to get a 10-point bonus, while over here, where the area has really good numbers, all 6s, whoever has the most is going to lose 5 points. And then there's some other places to put coffins that will give you cards, and there are cards that are going to give you victory points. There are treasure cards at the end of the game are going to give you points. So, for example, here if I have 1 necklace at the end of the game, it's worth 2. But if I have 5 necklaces at the end of the game, that's worth 24. Here, rubies are going to give me points for having different people in the mausoleums. Here, I get victory points for each coffin that's in the river. Speaking of that, at the end of the game, if you have coffins in the river, you're going to lose victory points. If you have 8 coffins lost, you'll lose 28. 1 coffin, you have 23. So that's how points are. You're trying to get these coffins out. How do you do that? Each round of the game, a cart shows up. This cart is going to have room for a certain number of coffins in it, and the start player for that round is going to decide which side of the river that cart's going to go on. So maybe they pick this side. That means any coffins that are delivered are going to be placed in open graves on this side over here. The number of spaces available in the cart are limited by the number of players. You can see there's more spaces with more players. Each player at the beginning of the game has a handful of cards, a 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7. All right, and they're going to play 3 of these cards. So they're going to pick 3 of these cards, and they're going to pick the order that they play them in each round. The 2 and the 3 are kind of worthless. You have to play them together. So if you play those are 2 of your 3 cards. Now, once everyone has played cards, then someone will call them out starting from 11 and going down, 11, 10, 9, 8. And when your card is called, you do whatever that card says. If multiple people have the same number, then it goes in turn order. So here this basically says, put a coffin on the cart. Well, fantastic. So I can put a coffin on the cart. Some of them let me put double coffins on the carts. And you'll put these guys on the carts. Actually, the first coffin would go here. And we go around the board putting the different coffins on. When this is completely full of different coffins, then anyone else who tried to put a coffin on the cart is instead going to have to throw it in the river. After everyone has done playing all their cards, then in order, the people who put coffins on the cart can put them in open spots on the board. People who have thrown them into the river, they're going to float down the river and lose you points at the end of the game, but you will also get to draw a card to make up for it. There are other ways to draw cards, and so players are going to want to draw cards. There's 2 types of cards that can be drawn from. There are treasure cards. Treasure cards are simply will go in your hand, and you can keep them to the end of the game for points, or you can play them throughout the game as one of your 3 cards, and when you do so, you'll get the points listed down here, which is, as far as I can tell, always 4. So I might have this locker, which counts as a Holy Cross, a ring, or a necklace, but I can also play it at any point for 4 points. Even more interestingly, down here are other cards you can get in your hand. Now these are one-time use cards, But when you play these, they will do various things. And you'll notice they can start at higher numbers, like this 11 here, which lets you move the cart to the other side. Or reburial, where you can move somebody from one grave to another. Or this guy who lets you put a double 1 in the cart, but hey, he's an 8, which happens before other things. And so players are going to have all sorts of different types of cards that do different things, and there is a reference card that reminds you what you can do for all the symbols, because it's not always quite so clear. Remember, when you use one of these cards, it's gone. You can only use it once each round. After a certain number of rounds, the game is going to end, and we'll score points like I mentioned earlier, and whoever has the most is the winner. Bring Out Your Dead is not without its problems. First of all, the rule book. The rule book's pretty straightforward in how to play, until you realize that there's a lot of questions that you have that the rule book does not answer. I had to go online multiple times, and for a game that's really not this complicated, that's a little kind of frustrating, and a lot of people have complained about the rules for this. Also, it feels like it could have been developed a little more. For example, the places where you put the coffins from low to high. Why would I ever put one there? Because there's other places on the board which are much better. So I put one there if there's nothing else to do, but then I'm helping someone else. And it just felt like that was kind of a waste. And other than that, I liked where the coffins went, but sometimes it just seemed like the numbers were kind of randomly put out rather than really thought through. And there wasn't a lot of hard choices many times. Sometimes, okay, if I go here, I'm winning area control, and I go here, it's more points, which one's better? That's good, and that's interesting, and I wish more of that had been on the board. I do like that the board and the treasure cards feel pretty balanced. You can try to win through both, maybe forgetting the board much at all, which seems to be a legitimate strategy, and trying to get as many treasure cards, you're looting the dead, or trying to bury as many people as you possibly can, or a mixture of those, and I thought that was good. The theme itself, I said it's a grisly theme, and it really is, and some people are going to be put off by that, and I completely understand that. I will say, though, that the game doesn't show any dead bodies. It's kind of, okay, I guess, no, it shows the one with the necklace on, right? But it barely shows that. There's no gore, and it's almost like a goofy, silly thing. It looks like there's vampires, and it's cartoony. But again, I can understand if people aren't a big fan of the theme. The gameplay itself, I love the putting the cards down and trying to outguess the other players. That's a lot of fun for me. At the beginning of the game, everyone has 5 cards. You're playing 3 of those. It's pretty obvious. But as time goes by, people get other cards. And when do you play those cards? Some of them are much better than others. Some of them are worth keeping. The treasure cards, do you play them throughout the game to get points? Or do you keep them and try to score sets at the end of the game? And that sort of thing is really intriguing to me. The game plays very differently with 5 as opposed to 3 or 2. In fact, I don't know that I want to play this game with 2. 3 was okay. It actually seems like it's better the more players because there's more competition going on for things. So I think I would stick with this one as a 4 and 5 player game. The components are pretty cool. Like I said, it has these little coffins there. The artwork and the board and everything, it pops. It's something different. And a lot of people who played it have really enjoyed it. Now, some people aren't as big a fans of it, but I thought it was pleasant. It was entertaining. It has that simultaneous selection, so that's good. So, despite a few hang-ups like the rule book and such, this is a solid game, and I would recommend checking it out. Bring Out Your Dead. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Lockdown.